I have a feeling this is going to be an interesting review. Hey, it's Jay, and it's time for me to throw my hat in the ring of the latest movie in DC's lineup, Joker. Now, this film has been so polarizing. There's been so many different opinions between critics and fans. Right now, it's at a 69 on the tomato score. I'm not in tomatoes, but the audience score is at a 92. So you can see that everyone's completely divided down the middle. Either you like this movie or you hate it. So let me throw my 2 cents in the ring. Let's get to the plot. So, in the year 1981, a party clown by the name of Arthur Fleck, played by Joaquin Phoenix, lives with his mother, Penny Fleck, played by Frances Conroy. He lives in Gotham City, which is a very corrupt city, and certain groups of people are impoverished and just not seen as priorities. Arthur has a neurological disorder that causes him to laugh at inappropriate times. He could be happy, sad, angry, scared, anything. He will just start laughing, which, if people don't understand mental illness, they're going to just find that to be very annoying. After being beaten up by a gang during one of his gigs as an advertiser for a store that's closing down, Arthur's co-worker lends him a gun to defend himself because it's a crazy world out there. He then encounters one of his neighbors in his apartment complex, Sophie Dumond, played by Zazie Beetz, and he invites her to see one of his comedy shows, and they become a couple. So things can't be all bad for Arthur Fleck if he's, finding somebody who makes him happy. So, Arthur, not being at the best set of mind, goes to a children's hospital to perform, as he is a party clown. And things seem to be going well. The children are having a fun time when the gun that Randall lent him fell out of his pocket. This is obviously not a good thing, and he is fired. And Randall, instead of telling the truth, lies and says that Arthur brought the gun himself. So that's a big hit to Arthur. He has no job anymore, and he has no way of, earning money. And on the subway ride home, he encounters 3 very snobbish Wayne Enterprise employees who are harassing a woman. And he starts to laugh because of his condition, and they start antagonizing him and then start relentlessly beating him. But in self-defense, he shoots 2 of the Wayne Enterprise snobs in the head and then executes the 3rd one. Thomas Wayne, yes, Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne's father, is very upset about this and calls anybody who is jealous of the wealthy clowns. This causes riots and a new movement in the streets of Gotham where everybody dons clown masks in Arthur's image, and they're not too happy with how they're being treated. Certain things get cut with Wayne's new budget plans and proposals, including the social service worker that Arthur sees for medication. So now Arthur has no means of getting medication to maybe help cure his disorder where he laughs at everything. So another hit to our good friend Arthur. So it is Arthur's first stand-up comedy routine, and things are going awful. He can't stop laughing, and he has a very hard time delivering his jokes. But it seems like everybody's having a great time until it's shown on Murray's show. Murray Franklin, played by Robert De Niro, who is a talk show host, plays clips of his stand-up routine and relentlessly mocks the dude, which isn't very good for Arthur's psyche and self-esteem because he's already in such a bad place mentally that this is just taking another hit to him. 2 cops then show up to Arthur's home to question him about the train murders, and in the process, his mother suffers from a stroke. Arthur also intercepts a letter from Penny to Thomas Wayne, who Penny used to work for, and it is revealed that Arthur may have the potential to be Thomas Wayne's biological son. He then goes to the Wayne estate and talks to a young Bruce Wayne, but runs away after an altercation with the butler Alfred Pennyworth. So yeah, a lot of big news is hitting Arthur very quickly that his stand-up was a fail, and he might be the biological son of someone he doesn't really like, which is Thomas Wayne. So, at a public event where Thomas Wayne is the speaker, Arthur confronts him about his parentage, and Thomas Wayne's like, your mother's insane, like she's a crazy person, and reveals a bunch of other stuff that's not too fun to hear if you're the one receiving the news. In denial, Arthur flees to the mental hospital or the hospital I should say, where, it is a mental hospital, where Penny's being held, and steals her case file, and it's revealed that Penny adopted Arthur as a kid and allowed her several boyfriends to abuse both Arthur and Penny. And Thomas Wayne had her committed to this mental ward to hide their affair. And this isn't very good. And I think this is the moment that caused Arthur to snap, and he is now full-blown Joker. He is now the Joker. He's no longer Arthur Fleck. He is now the Joker. And he goes into his mother's room and he smothers her to death with her pillow for lying to him all these years about who his true parents are, making him think that she's his real mother, and then he's off and he's out in the world. And he goes to Sophie's apartment, and Sophie's putting her child to rest, to bed. And when she comes out, she's very surprised to see Arthur in there. It turns out that all their past engagements, him meeting her for the first time, her going to his comedy show, them going out for a date at the diner, them presumably having sex after the train murders, consensually, don't worry. That was all an illusion. None of it happened. So he's just out on his own, because everything that's been leading up to this point has been a lie. There has been no Sophie in his life. She's just been his neighbor that he's encountered once and had these delusions of going on a date with her, talking to her, and all these things. So it's a really crazy twist that I somewhat saw coming, because after the train murders, when he just like kind of knocked on the door, she opened it, and he just starts making out with her. I was like, question, I understand that you have feelings for this guy. Well, at least at the time we thought she had feelings for this guy. I don't think that that would go over very well if it was just like, knock, knock, yeah! So I kind of had suspicions, but I didn't think that she was entirely made up. I thought that they were going to go down the route of, she saw him in his apartment, she's seen his sketch routine, and doesn't want anything to do with him. Like, I don't want to be known as the girl who's dating, such an unfunny guy. I thought that's how they were going to go, but no, she just never was there in the first place. So yeah, that was a big twist, and I thought it was a very solid way to continue to hammer the nail into Joker's psyche that causes him to go onto his spree that is coming up very soon. So, Arthur receives a phone call from one of the producers on the Murray Franklin show, and because of his horrible stand-up comedy routine, ratings have skyrocketed. Everybody loves his routine, as bad as it is, and they want him on the show. Arthur agrees and is visited by two of his former co-workers, Randall and Gary. Randall's the one who gave him the gun, and Gary is a little person who also worked with Arthur when he worked as a clown. They try to give him their sympathy for Penny's death, but they're also trying to prod information out of him, because the police, those two detectives, have also visited the clown employment place, I guess. I don't really know what you would call it. And were prodding the other employees, including Randall, who obviously the gun was his. So they're trying to get information, and Joker just brutally murders Randall by shoving scissors in his neck and kicking his head in pretty much into the pulp. This horrifies Gary, but Joker lets him go because Gary's been kind to him throughout his life, and lets him go. It's a pretty funny joke, actually. When he tells Gary to leave, Gary can't reach the lock because he's a little person, and it's kind of funny. It really lends itself to the character of the Joker, because that's something that would happen, something so horrifying that the Joker would kind of make it funny. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that him murdering Randall is funny, but they would follow it up with a moment of hilarity where Gary can't reach the door handle, and you know, you think it's going to be one of those fake outs where it's like, oh, yeah, you can go. And then, savagely murders Gary, too. But they didn't do that. They were like, you've been kind to me. He gives him, like, one of those psychopathic kisses on the head. You know how all psychopaths do when they're about to kill someone. They kiss him on the head. And he lets him go. But, so Joker is... Needless to say, Joker is completely unhinged. There's no closing that door again. He is off his rocker, and he's ready to go on the Murray Franklin show. But on his way to the studio, those two detectives finally see him and pursue him through the subway, where a bunch of rioters in clown masks are getting ready to have a huge riot in the center of Gotham. And in the mix-up, one of the detectives accidentally shoots one of the rioters, which is now seen as a cop just shot a rioter, and this causes an even bigger riot, allowing Arthur to flee, who stole someone's mask and was able to escape through the chaos, and relentlessly taunts the detective who's getting brutally beaten by these rioters, and taunts him by dancing, pretty much giving him the middle finger, saying, haha, screw you, this is what you get for constantly picking on me. And he goes off to go on to the Murray Franklin show. So before the show goes live, we all know this scene. Arthur requests that Murray calls him Joker, because that's what Murray called him when he showed his stand-up comedy routine on air. And he was like, I gotta, introduce me as Joker. They don't want him to wear the clown makeup because it's symbolizing a movement that they don't agree with, but they think it'll be good for ratings. And when Arthur comes on, he, does his little Joker dance, and then it takes a turn, like, immediately. He starts making very morbid jokes, and everyone's starting to get unsettled, and then he admits that he's the one who murdered the 3 Wayne Enterprise employees on the train. Nobody really believes him at first until they finally realize this guy's serious, isn't he? And he then berates Murray and the city of Gotham for abandoning people with mental illness, and it all comes to a header, and he pulls out a gun and blows Murray's brains out all over the wall on live television. This obviously makes the crowd panic as they run away, and they all try to flee as Arthur continuously puts bullets in Murray's dead body, and this causes the biggest riot that Gotham has ever seen to break out. Chaos and violence is just everywhere, and now Joker is in the back of a cop car because they tackle him as he's trying to get his message across on the camera. He comes real close to the camera, and they cut the feed. One clown who is part of the riot sees that Thomas Wayne and his wife and young Master Wayne are leaving the theater and going down the alley, and gee, what do you think happens? Of course, Bruce's parents get murdered because we can't have Battinson without murdered parents. I'll get to that, at the review portion. And they kill Thomas Wayne and his wife. In the cop car that Joker is being held, he taunts the cops because the cops are like, look what you started. Are you happy about this? And Joker, of course, is like, yes, I'm very happy about this. And the rioters steal an ambulance and they ram it into the cop car to free Joker. And he stands up and he takes in his applause and he starts dancing to the music of the people cheering for him, cheering his name, that he has just caused this chaos to erupt in the city. And so we cut to Arkham Asylum, and Joker is just laughing like he does because he still has that condition, and the woman interviewing him asks why he's laughing, and he just simply says you wouldn't get the joke. And we see him leaving that room with bloody footprints, indicating that he definitely just killed that interviewer. And he flees from the orderlies, and that was Joker. Whew, okay. Let me just say this now. If you are easily made uncomfortable by situations, I wouldn't recommend this film. This film is very, very unsettling in every aspect. Even before he becomes Joker, you just see in Joaquin Phoenix's eyes the derangement that is going on in his head, and how everything that happens to him, you could see him getting crazier and crazier. So if you are easily unsettled, do not go see this film. But on topic of Joaquin Phoenix, absolutely phenomenal. Oh my god, that performance blew everything out of the water. Everyone else was great in it too, but Joaquin Phoenix is the star here. He shone so brightly with how he captured this character and put his own spin on the character, that character that everybody loves, the character that Mark Hamill and Heath Ledger made amazing. He continued that legacy and put his own spin on it. Fantastic performance by Joaquin Phoenix. If he doesn't win any awards, I hope he at least gets a nomination, because he definitely deserves an Oscar nomination for this role. Now, in terms of all this faux fear and panic that this is going to cause some incident like the Aurora movie theater with Dark Knight Rises, I think it's a load of horse shit. And I think the media really needs to stop, because this is going to fuel the fire of someone who is intending on doing it. The cops at my theater were packing. Like, they were packing. And it doesn't lend itself to a situation like that. I got through the movie fine. I think we're just kind of reading a little bit too much into this. And there's so much to this film that was amazing. You know, we're dealing with a character who's probably one of the most evil characters we have, because he could do something so horrible and then laugh about it. And he's a very infamous character. So there was a lot of pressure mounting on the filmmakers and the writers to get this right. And I think they nailed it. Again, even before Arthur Fleck turns into the Joker, you can really see the pain he feels on a day-to-day basis, with the mockery he feels and the misunderstanding and everything about it. I know a lot of people think that this movie is glorifying acts of violence like this by doing things like, you know, blowing someone's brains out on a live show and then having him celebrated in the streets. But if you look at it, it's Gotham. Gotham is one of the most corrupt cities in comic book history. You know, that's why Batman does what he does in his city, because of all the corruption. And so, like, you can't be sitting here telling me that that's out of Gotham's reach, that they would praise something like that. You know, at the end of the day, this isn't a real world city. This is a corrupt, made-up world that... I mean, do you guys not know why Batman fights crime? He fights crime because he feels like the authorities that are in the city don't do their jobs properly. That's why Batman becomes Batman. So I don't understand why everyone's having their, you know, panties in a twist about this being celebrated when it's a city like Gotham. That's all I have to say about that. All in all, if you're a fan of the Joker, if you're a fan of Batman movies, if you want to see an incredible performance worthy of any award, you definitely have to check this out. And on the topic of, you know, Bruce Wayne's parents getting murdered, I mean, I knew it was going to happen, but they do the same thing they do in every movie. They shoot him and they rip the necklace off and the pearls go symbolically flying everywhere. And it's like, did you just, like, copy and paste this from every other Batman movie and just layer it on top of each other in, like, Photoshop? Because I feel like if you did do that, there would be no difference. So at that, I was kind of like, really? You even had to do the pearls? The pearls flying everywhere? Oh, the woe and misery of the pearls flying everywhere. You know, from Martha Wayne's necklace flying everywhere. Just kind of silly that they insisted on doing the exact same thing that every other Batman has done. Whatever. It didn't take me out of the movie. I was just like, I knew you were going to do it, but I didn't think you were going to do it that similarly to the past. But that's all I have to say about Joker. See it if you want. Please make your own decision on what you think of the film. Don't look at the critics. Don't even look at the audience score. You make your own decision, because I've seen a lot of people just jumping on a bandwagon, judging this movie before it even comes out. How can you make an opinion on a movie that hasn't even come out yet? That makes no sense. Really doesn't. It's like if someone's cooking food for you, it's like, oh, that tastes disgusting. How do you know? I haven't finished it yet, and you haven't even eaten it. So, that's all I have to say about Joker. Give it a chance. If you don't want to see it, whatever, but then please don't make your opinion known that you hate this movie when you didn't even bother to go see it. That's all I have to say. But it's time for my final verdict, and this movie, in my eyes, gets a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It is extremely solid, and it is way better than movies that DC has put up recently, with a couple exceptions. See it if you want to. If you don't, fine, but keep your opinion to yourself if you don't. That's all I have to say. Make sure you guys stay tuned next week for my second favorite film of all time. We're almost at number 1, guys. Almost there. So click the bell icon to get notified of when I upload that next week. And until then, guys, that is a wrap.